Wisp Sports Radio, the voice of women in sport.
Hi everyone, welcome to episode 3 of Full Time with Katie Stengel. Today's episode, I'm joined by two pretty influential people in the NWSL women's soccer world. But before I get started, just wanted to give a shout out to wispsports.com. Check it out for all kinds of women's coverage, including soccer coverage. As I said before, I have two pretty influential people. We often look at players on the field and in a professional soccer club. Those are the ones that everyone pays attention to, but most clubs wouldn't be successful without many other key players. So their playing days may be far from over. Not trying to date them. I've just seen them kick a ball. But, these two women bring something much bigger to the game in our club, Utah Royals, than, just on the field performance. So I am joined by Steph. Steph was the first female GM in NWSL and basically is in charge of every single thing you could think of, including keeping about 20 plus professionals happy, which is not an easy task. And then Laura, she paid me to say this before, but is one of the most successful female coaches in professional soccer, and some consider the best coach in the NWSL. I'm only saying that so she doesn't wave me. So, anyways, without me spieling even more, tell me a little bit about yourselves. Steph can go first.
Hi, everyone. Let's see. I got started by actually interning with Laura at the time we were with the Seattle Reign. Interned a year there and stayed in touch. Got hired as a team admin with Laura. Was with her for a few years. Moved into a more operational role for the club. And then when she took the plunge to come to Utah, I wasn't quite done being harassed by her. So I followed her along. And so I've been here about a year now as general manager for the Royals.
Hi, I'm Laura. Everything Steng said is true, except for the fact that my playing days are over, because I'm still unbelievable on the field. I just don't want to run around, so I let these do it. I prefer to tell them what to do than show them. I've been coaching now for a long time, nearly 20 years. Oh, my days.
Aged yourself.
My days. That sounded awful. And been in America now for 6+ years, coaching the NWSL since its inaugural season, and enjoy the challenge of what the NWSL brings as a coach. Enjoy working with the players, most of them, and I think the biggest thing as a coach is you want to be challenged on a daily basis of what you can make the players get to and push to, and the NWSL definitely provides that.
How did you guys make it to such a high level in a competitive world, often dominated by men?
I think from my journey's perspective, I think the thing I say a lot is I was always fortunate that I had some really good male role models around me and males that were willing to give me an opportunity, as sad as that sounds. I think that for a lot of female coaches specifically, that they have such a battle on their hands to get in front of the influential people in any club, and I was really fortunate that I was friends with some people who were influential in clubs, and I also did my coach education licenses with people who were influential in the local area at the time, and I think that really helped propel me into positions of influence in coaching positions in my local area. And then once I was given those chances, I think I was judged on my performance as a coach, and I think that led me to Arsenal. And once I got the opportunity at Arsenal, I think it was a career-defining change for me, because then people started to look at me in a different way, because Arsenal was the biggest club in the country at the time, and arguably one of the biggest clubs in Europe at the time. And when we continued our success that the previous manager had, I think it helped propel my profile onto a higher level, and that led me to taking the plunge to come over the pond.
Much better place, huh?
Mm-hmm. I think I would kind of agree with Laura. I think it is the opportunities that you get, and having a few people. You just need one person to believe in you and give you that opportunity, but I think once you have it, it's what you do with it that counts. And I think working hard and speaking out and making a name for yourself are all things that help you kind of stay in the game and get to the next level of the game. I think for the most part, most of the men I've come across have been surprised by my efforts or knowledge or skill or whatever you think it is, and then they just kind of grasp onto that, and it becomes a little bit easier, and they help propel you because they see your talent. So I think it's less hard than people think it is. Once you get that foot in the door, you just have to excel and for yourself and know that you can do it.
So do you think the hardest obstacle to overcome would be just getting your foot in the door, getting the first opportunity?
Yeah, I do.
So. And I think especially from a coaching perspective, and probably from a GM level role perspective, I think that women are renowned for, if there's a tick list of maybe 10 things that the job requires you to be good at, if we don't hit 9 of them, we wouldn't even attempt to apply for the job. Whereas if a male counterpart maybe hits 5 of them, they'll stick their hat in the ring, just, never knowing what might come of it. And I when people ask me this question a lot, I always say that I think that that's one thing that females could do a better job of is, taking a risk, really, and taking a chance. And I think that, again, you need people around you who are influential to help you sometimes to take that chance. But when it's just a paper exercise of putting your name down for a job interview, I think that, believing that you have a chance of doing that job well, even if you don't tick every box, I think putting your hat in the ring is a huge step in the right direction to get your foot in the door.
Right.
Yeah, I think we hold ourselves back. I think men are much more just taught and inclined to do something before they're ready, but women are less so. And I think that that's been huge for me, is taking in my career is a lot of times taking the step up for things when I didn't feel ready, and kind of just fake it till you make it sort of mentality, and kind of, again, just working hard. And I think that's something that women need to be better at, is taking an opportunity when they might not quite feel ready for it.
I think, I forget who mentioned it, but one of you mentioned having a role model or some kind of mentorship. How important do you think that is in actually seeing some kind of path in some way to get to where you are now?
Yeah, I think that that can be both the female, from my perspective, a female coach paving the way, but also, a male role model who believes that female coaches can do what the male coaches can do. I think that the balance of those two things were a huge influence on my career, and I think I was really lucky that the people who did my coach education courses, which was by huge chance, saw something in me that maybe I didn't see at the time. And also the England manager at the time was a female who had been thrown into the role herself really when she stopped playing. She set up a mentoring scheme for female coaches who were going towards their A licence, and part of the process was that we all got put with England youth teams, not necessarily as the head coach but as assistant coaches. And I will always say to this day that was the biggest learning opportunity I had, and I learned the most about myself and about how to coach and video analysis and all the other stuff that no one really sees that coaches do, but it's all behind the scenes. And I think without that experience and exposure to those things, I don't think I'd have, one, been as good at the jobs or had the success at the jobs that I had, or even had the opportunities. So I think they were she was a huge influence on my career, actually, and I didn't really realise it until later in my career, because at the time I was like, ugh, because she was hard. She was real hard on all of us, to the point that you didn't want to be around her. But looking back on it, I think those 4 years that I had that exposure, I think was a huge influence on my career.
Do you feel like there's some kind of like double standard where you're expected to, like, you know, tick off all 10 boxes? Or do you still feel like once you get the job, it's like, well, you know, you're deemed like the same as a male?
I don't know if there's a double standard, but I think I feel like probably having to work harder to keep where I'm at and or excel. Whereas I think some of my male counterparts have the job, and at least from the perspective that I have, it's easy breezy for them and they're going to ride that train for as long as they can. But for me, I feel like I'm constantly trying to prove myself and prove that I can do the job. So I don't know if that's quite a double standard,
right?
More or more just kind of the ease of that they have versus the hard work that I have.
I think from a coaching perspective, it's difficult, because I think that, you know, I go back to what really influenced my career was having those opportunities with, say, like the England youth national teams. And I think about this country and how huge it is, and how many female coaches already work in the game, maybe at college or high school or club, that actually get paid to do this as a career. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of them. And maybe it's I don't know if the NWSL is not a big enough pull for them, or the exposure that they have to the league isn't good enough that they see a pathway for them. But I'm not sure. I think that's a huge element to it, that obviously England's tiny in comparison to the US, and it was pretty easy at the time to isolate who the next generation of female coaches were. But to do that here, there's probably thousands of them. So I think that just the vastness of this country makes that difficult, and it's a lot. You know, there's a lot of media around the fact that there's only 2 female coaches in the league and all that type of stuff. But I do think that, again, go back to, I think for some females, they already have a pathway through college, through high school, through club, that's actually probably pretty sustainable for them. So I think from the NWSL's perspective, it's arguably the most riskiest job in professional soccer on the women's side, you know, including all the things I just spoke about. Whereas college and club and high school are pretty sustainable jobs. So I think that I understand from a female coach perspective that there is a pathway for them. It just might, the NWSL just might not be for them.
Do you think that it's just like back to our nature that we're not used to taking risks like that?
Potentially.
I mean, if you look at the world of sports, I fully expect at some point in my career I'll be fired. That's just the nature of the beast. But I don't know that there's been enough experience of women to think that way, and if they're just nervous about taking a risk on a job like that.
Well, and I also think that, you know, harsh reality of that question being asked of, you know, I think males go through it, right? Like a male in a GM role in MLS or NFL or NBA, arguably the money they earn allows them to take that risk, I think, even more. So I think that's a big factor to the culture of it is, and this isn't as pleading poverty, but I think that we have to be a little bit more mindful of those things, because the salaries that anyone earns isn't going to be something that you could walk away from and not have a job for a year or 2. So I think that also plays a role into the risks that people don't want to run, especially if they're families.
For sure.
Since you guys are more the pioneers in this new role, how do you define success? Like, how would you say you've been a successful coach or GM?
I think there's the traditional definition of winning. And I think a championship is definitely something that we're both looking for in order to define success. But I also think individually, I measure my success by reaching goals whatever that goal may be, whether it's for the day, for the week, the month, the year. That's how I measure my success, whether it's internal goals or external goals. And I think that that's unique to me, but that's how I do it.
I think as a coach, it's definitely a results-orientated business. But I think that, especially when we came in with a new franchise, and obviously we inherited players, but we created a new team within that. The journey that this group's been on, I think the biggest success would be getting in the playoffs, championships. But I think that this franchise specifically, I think is maybe bigger than that in the sense that we know that from the local community and within the RSL community as a club, we are impacting things in a really positive way, both on the field, off the field. Obviously all the foundation stuff that the players do, I think, is huge for that. And I also think some of the stuff that we as people are influencing in the front office way that the clubs run, the way that people see things, I think that is also a measure of a little bit of success. But I think ultimately my success as a coach is defined by winning. I don't think I can get away from that as much as sometimes that's annoying.
Fair. Yeah, I think we want to be the best in everything, on the field, off the field, in the office, the way we treat the players, the way that we plan things and the goals that we set. I think it's just pretty simple to be the best.
Right. So as a role model or like one of the leaders that other women trying to strive to make their own name in this industry, what advice would you give them to be successful?
I think going back to what we said before about getting your foot in the door however you can would be my first measure of advice. And then I say this all the time to coaches, and people ask me a lot about it actually, and I always say be yourself, because I think that we do live in a male dominated world where the characteristics that a lot of male coaches have, I just don't have as a human. And when I was going through my journey real quickly, which I did in my mid-20s, I started to try and be someone that I wasn't. And I say this a ton of times, that I think players can read if you're not being authentic and honest and who you really are, and then they find that hard to believe in. Whereas if you are who you are, and you define yourself in a certain way, then players are either going to believe in it and run with it and buy into the journey, or they won't, and that's okay. But at least you know when you look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day that you're being the truest person that you are, and then just be the best version of that you can be.
You do you.
You do you. Wow. I am so empowered.
Don't affect me.
I said it earlier, I think it's taking opportunities before you think you're ready for them. I think if you say yes to things when you don't think you're ready, it pushes you faster and it pushes you further. And I also think that opportunities don't come around often, and it's what you do that prepares you for them that sets you up for success.
Yeah. Wow, that was good.
That was pretty powerful.
Yeah, I am ready to go run a marathon, even though I'm not ready.
Here all day.
Okay, so what's the one thing you'd want to leave behind as like your legacy or reputation in the soccer world? Whenever you...
That one's tough. I don't know. I think especially for my role being so behind the scenes, I don't expect to leave a legacy, or I don't expect to be a big name. But if I can leave this club or this league or these players or the coaches or the staff or anyone better than when I came here, that's enough of a legacy for me.
Wow. You're a selfless person.
Well, don't get me wrong. I'll get other things along the way, but I just don't know that reputation is the thing that I'm trying to leave.
Let's follow that with.
What are you trying to say, Sting?
I'm just setting you up here.
No, I think similar. I think that the hardest thing for me over my coaching journey is just to continue to be myself. And I think that in that there may be opportunities that I don't get along the way because of who I am and the character and personality that I am, which is not necessarily for everybody. But I think that when I decide to walk away from the game or the game walks away from me, I think that I just want to be known that I was me ultimately. And I think that I'm okay with that. Whatever the journey ends up being, I can look myself in the mirror and say that I did it the way that I wanted to, in a real authentic way. Because I think that any time I tried to not do that in my early years, it didn't make me happy, and it ultimately didn't make me successful. So I think just knowing that I did it my way, aka Frank. You know what I mean?
What if you had to leave the game earlier than you expected? What would you go do?
Sell beach chairs.
She
beach
just
chairs.
said sell beach chairs. You couldn't understand the accent or the mumbling, but
in fact, I wouldn't sell. I would rent beach chairs on one of the most popular beaches in the world, and just fall into the sunset because whatever. I don't think I'd be good at anything else. I've said this a lot. If I didn't have football, I do not know what I would have done. It's definitely not be a pro golfer. That's for sure. I wish.
So why do you think you'll be good at selling beach chairs?
Well, it is a tough one for me because I don't like talking to strangers, but I feel like it's a need that everyone has when they go to a beach.
Not really. You have a towel.
No, well,
Or you go in the
might
water.
say.
Would you do it like they do it in Europe, where they're just seated and you have to pay like $5 to lay them, or would you like walk up and down the beach?
Well, so I've studied it a little bit.
Chairs.
Get your chairs, everybody.
I've studied it a little bit.
Studied. That's the word she tried to say.
A little bit. Jeez. And in Hawaii specifically, especially where the more affluent people stay, I'd just wait in their lobby. I wouldn't even get to the beach. They'd walk past me. You want a beach chair? Cool.
So then they have to
$15
carry
a day.
it all the way down there?
Don't you worry about them. They're fine.
Oh.
Those people who go to those hotels, it's like 10 steps.
Oh. Must be
You know
nice.
where Hawaii Five-O's filmed? Right there. That's right.
Pay a commission to the hotel so they'll let you stay in there.
Well, I'll just make Scott talk to him.
Oh, okay.
Scott's in it
So
too.
she's
He
got
doesn't.
high aspirations if she ever stops playing.
Yeah. Well, playing. Those days are gone. We know.
Yeah.
It's staying. But yeah, if I have to walk
didn't
away from the
say it.
game, that'd be it. Beach chairs.
Okay. Steph, is this like your highest peak for you?
I certainly hope not. I definitely think there's a couple different avenues I could go in thinking about what I want to do next. Do I want to cross over to the men's game? Do I want to try and work for the league? There's a couple different places I could look to. But I don't think this is the last job for me. I don't think I'll be at this job forever. It's not my retirement job.
You said most riskiest earlier, or more riskier, or something like that, and
People
I
knew what it meant.
didn't bring it up until now. But anyways, what makes a good coach? And I'm going to ask Steph first.
Oh, gosh. What makes a good coach? Well, it should probably be known that Laura's the only coach I've worked with.
Okay, so she's going to be biased.
No, I don't know if that it makes me biased, but there are definitely
You don't know what a good coach is, then?
qualities in her. There are qualities in her that I think make her super successful as a coach. And she referenced one earlier, which is she understands that there's human aspects to the game, and I think you guys are not robots, you're people, and so I think she recognizes that. I also think specific to the game of football, she's incredibly tactical. And I think that's her knowledge and her level of that puts her above the rest. And then I also think that what's interesting about her, and someone actually said this to me, and I didn't think of it until they said it. Not that it's not true, but I just didn't recognize it, is that she's smarter than football. She understands, what the club needs to do for ticket sales and sponsorship and social media, and sees the big picture, which I think there are some coaches that are just, tunnel vision, football, but she understands the bigger business aspect of it as well.
I think the knowledge is power in anything that you do, and I think when the downside of coach education is that, especially when I was doing it, it's evolved a bit recently, but we weren't really taught about the fact that you're dealing with humans. I think it was just sort of a given that you should know that. So I think that gaining knowledge, gaining experience, understanding that there's stats and science behind things that happen, but also that people are people and they're going to want more or less, or need more or less, or need it in a different way, and can you help provide the best environment for the team, and then within that allow individuals to ultimately be themselves. And I think allowing players to be who they are, and I think one way that you can allow players to be who they are is to ultimately be who you are. So I think if players see that you're not being who you are, it will sort of barricade them into not giving you everything of who they are, and then I think you can have this barrier between you of ultimately when things are tough or things are going well, that you truly don't really have a true connection with those people. So I think that's a big thing for coaches to evolve. And in coach education, I think I'm currently doing a license here in the US, and that's been one of the things that we've actually spoken about a lot, which has been eye-opening that we're even having that topic discussed. So I like that.
Have you ever had a coach give you your full season of training schedule?
No.
I think that's one example of just recognizing that you guys are humans and that you have lives, and your cousin might be getting married and you want to know if you can go to it, or when can I go home and see my dog, and things like that. And I think that is it's so little, and I think other coaches struggle to have that big picture vision, and I think that's just an example of the humanness aspect of it.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give her props on that. She's pretty good. That's the only positive I'll give.
Full Time, the soccer show with Katie Stengel, only on Wisp Sports.
Okay, so what makes a good manager? And I'm going to ask Laura first.
I think each general manager's job is really different dependent on the club. I think, at this club specifically, there's so many elements to manage that, I think as coach players, we don't see. With such a huge organisation, with so many bands coming off it, that I think one of the biggest things that Steph has to do is to manage all of those people and departments to make sure one of the things I think Steph does really well is to make sure that we as the technical staff and the players can do our jobs, and we don't have to think about all of that stuff. But in the same way, it gets managed so we don't have to think about it, but if we did ever ask about it, it's been done. And I think once you get that trust with your general manager, especially from a head coach's perspective, then you don't tend to stress about it too much. And I think that's been a huge thing for me, and one of the reasons why I was so happy that Steph came to Utah was that we'd sort of built up this rapport in Seattle where those things from a head coach's perspective, I never had to think about anything because I knew Steph would always have it in hand. And I think just because the Reign was such a small organisation in comparison to here, I think that journey has been really, really different for Steph, but still all the things that are super important for us to be able to do what we do on the field, she still manages really, really well. So I think the biggest thing for a GM is just to work out your landscape of who you have to help manage or who you have to be answerable to so that you can help manage all the situation around you. And I think the lady to my left does a really good job of that, and I think that's why she will and continue to be really successful.
Wow. That was cute. Thanks. Adorable.
Steph? I look at my role with this club, and like Laura said, I think it might vary from club to club, but I think the biggest things that I can provide, in addition to the logistics and the details that Laura mentioned, and ultimately trying to make coaches' jobs and players' jobs easier. Like Laura says it all the time, we just want you guys to show up and do football. But I think the two bigger things that are on my plate are vision for the club, being year 2, like who are we? Where do we want to go? What do we want to be, both competitively and from a development aspect, and also sustainability. I think we are set up here to be really successful with this community and what our owner, Deloy Hansen, has done, but there are ways that we have to go about that strategically so that we can be. I mean, ticketing can sell out the stadium every game, and sponsorship can bring in millions of dollars of revenue there, but if we're not being smart from a team aspect of what we're trying to accomplish and how we accomplish it, then none of that means nothing. So those are the two probably things that in this role and where this club is at that I think are my biggest jobs.
Nice. Okay, so you guys have been working together for how long?
4 years?
4 years, yeah.
Ooh,
This is our 5th season.
Yeah.
Whew. How's that been? 5 years.
I think that the biggest reason why we work is that I think I understand what job Steph has to do from a GM perspective a little bit, not anywhere near what I should, because I was sort of a football GM at the Reign, but the way that our relationship worked at the Reign was I was named GM, but I didn't do anything office based. And even though Steph didn't necessarily have the title of GM at the Reign, she did all of the logistical stuff that a GM would have to do. I was just the go-between, really, between the owner, the team, and that was about it. So I think that we have an appreciation of what each other's good at, and an appreciation for how each other needs to function. So there'll be certain days where I'm like, I'm not going to talk to Steph about that today. And I know she thinks exactly the same about me. And then there's things that I know that she needs to be able to make sure she does her job right. And if she doesn't, if I don't give her what she needs, then she'll tell me. So I think we have a respect for each other that we can have a very honest conversation. Plus, she laughs at my jokes. One.
Very well.
2, I laugh at her jokes.
Yeah, she's funny.
And I think, we get on outside of just being colleagues, which was good because for a long time I was Steph's arguably boss, and then sort of roles are reversing. So I think you have to have a good relationship to make that work.
Yeah. Any good stories about getting to know each other's personalities? Like,
they probably all involve
place.
things that can't go on a podcast.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, you got something? Anything?
I think I think this is one of my favorite. So Laura's real into nicknames.
Oh yeah.
And one of the first road trips that I went on with the team was, she was like, we have to get a nickname for Steph. And all the players were like, yeah, it'll come. And I was just like, Steph is a nickname.
Yeah.
Like, my name is Stephanie.
Right.
You can see she still calls me Steph.
Yeah. If I introduce her to people we don't know as Steph, I get daggers. Yeah, exactly. You named her on the podcast.
I did.
I thought,
Stephanie Lee.
She got a killer. She got a killer.
Okay, I always say I can't actually get mad because it is an abbreviation of my name, but it's not what I go by. But
and the thing I loved about Steph from day one was, obviously, you lot can be very, very demanding as a group of humans. You're 20 plus women, all of the ages of between 20 and 30 plus, all with different needs and personalities. And it didn't matter who you were, who was asking, Steph would reply with sass, immediate. And sometimes I'd be like, ooh, and the players would just be like, yep. I'd be like, cool, that's how it rolls. You don't mess with Steph, or you'll get Steph'd.
Yeah.
Is ultimately what it is, as you probably know.
I do. So now, Stephanie. Who has been the easiest player to manage?
Easiest player to manage.
Probably can't remember.
Yeah, I know. Because if you're easy, I don't think about you.
Right.
You're easy peasy. Let's see. Taylor Lytle's pretty easy.
Yeah, I could see that. Never complains.
Yeah, Taylor Lytle's pretty easy. At the Reign, Lou Barnes is pretty easy.
Nice girl. Yeah.
No surprise, I feel like they're really similar in personality. I think they're friends.
They're friends, yeah.
They are.
Yeah. Bev Yanis was really easy to manage. Sam Johnson is actually really easy to manage.
She's absolutely... she's zero bothered.
I cannot vouch for that. She's one of the most high maintenance people I know.
Well, high maintenance is very different than easy to manage.
Okay,
she doesn't make my job harder.
Okay, that's fair. What about coaching? Easiest player to coach?
Ooh.
In your 40-year... What would you say? 20 years? 10 years?
He's putting words in my mouth. No one's easy to coach. No one. I will say no one's easy to coach. I think the players that I get the most satisfaction out of coaching is the ones that you see make huge strides in development in whatever aspect of the game. And I think currently the group we have now is a really good group to coach because every day people want to be better, and I think one reason for that is it's a World Cup year, so we know we have to step up with the players that aren't here. But I think secondly, I think this group knows that we're on the verge of being pretty good, and when you know that you're on the verge of doing that, then you tend to work that little bit harder to make it happen. But I think that it's always easier to coach teams when you know the people better, and I think last year was tough. Same when I first coached Arsenal, first coached Seattle. When you don't know the humans that much, I think I find that difficult just because of how I am. But now I know everybody a lot better here. I think that we are making more strides earlier than we did last year. And we're pushing each other a little bit more. You guys challenge me more, which is good. And we're challenging you more, which I think is also good.
Nice. Okay, hardest person to manage.
Oh, God.
You don't have to say me, it's too obvious.
No. I'm just going to go the obvious ones.
Oh, okay.
Hope Solo was obviously hard.
Wait, why is that obvious?
And I think without saying names, the ones that are hardest to manage are the ones that give the most pushback. Not because they aren't good people or they're trying to be bothersome or create wreck, but they're also trying to better the game, and so they're just questioning what's happening, why it's happening, why are we going this route. So those are the ones that are hard to manage because ultimately it's not their decision and it's not their choice, but I can respect them wanting to know the whys, but that doesn't mean that they get to like it.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
I think the most challenging for a coach, and I think this is often why coaches struggle, and I actually love it in a player, is if they question why we're doing a certain thing, tactical strategy, whatever it might be. I think the hardest thing for a coach is sometimes that question, and I would always counter that with, if as a coach you truly believe in something that you're doing, then that doesn't become hard. It actually becomes like a really good conversation, because the players are asking just because they want to know. So I think sometimes they can be perceived as the hardest people to coach, but I actually thrive on those players who really want to know why we are doing something and what it means. And I think in the US, trying to draw that out of some of the American players has been tough, because I think you're often brought up in a way where you just get, this is what you're doing, and you don't get told why you're doing it, this is what you're doing. So I think a lot of the international players will always ask why, and you've got to be comfortable with that. So I think sometimes that can be a challenge, because you do get asked in the heat of the moment, why wouldn't we do that, or why are we doing that and not that, and you've just got to be ready to give on the answer and believe in what you're saying.
You have to say a name. I said a name.
I
You
know.
have to
She
say
threw
a
one
name.
person on the bus. Come on, give me something.
I don't know. Hardest player to manage. Do you know what? Jane Ludlow, back at Arsenal, she was tough.
Who?
Exactly, there you go. She currently is the Welsh manager. She's the Welsh head coach. She was really tough to manage. 2 reasons. One, she always asked why. 2, she was going through a real tough time in her career because she kept getting injured and she was coming to the end of her career. And thirdly, if she didn't play, she absolutely was a nightmare if I didn't start her. I'd have to give her a job if she wasn't going to play. I'd have to get her to be in charge of the midfield or something from the bench because she was a winner too. So when she played, she did all right. But she was tough to manage. She was older than me too, so that was tough.
Oh, that's weird.
I had a lot of players at Arsenal older than me.
Oh, is that why you like our team where most are older?
Yeah. I do like to have experienced players because I like them to know why. And the young ones haven't got there yet.
Okay, that's fair. So just based off of my personal observations around the locker room, I tend to see Laura wandering around, not really having much to do. Our assistant coach constantly doing film, cutting things, working all the time, the poor man. So I know Laura has some extra free time, but Steph, do you ever have free time to do other hobbies?
Yes. I feel like the word hobby is really weird. It weirds me out.
Oh,
It's like
activity,
a
interest.
Well, no, I feel like it provides pressure to be name one specific thing. I do knitting. I don't.
That's a really good accent, though.
alcohol.
That's a great hobby.
No. But I think ways that I spend my free time are I spend a lot of time at the gym, actually.
You do.
And Netflix is a great hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the free time I have, I just fill it with random projects. Right now, I am sanding and refinishing a deck table.
Oh,
For my little outside.
wow. Handyman.
do every day.
Doing a little tile design on it.
Oh,
Nice.
you want to
Good
design
work,
me
Steph.
something?
Yeah.
It's empty.
It would be great if I could find a way to make money off my hobbies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some side
That's
hustle.
the dream.
Beach chairs.
Let me tell you.
Yeah. My hobbies are boring. It's nothing I don't go skydiving. I don't golf. I'm terrible at golfing, actually.
But she's gonna have lessons.
And I'm really good at driving the car.
She's really good at it.
That's what I would want to do. Just drive the little cart
she's
around.
a really good cart caddy.
Anything with the water, I do love to do. So
And the sun.
water, sun, and a boozy brunch every now and then. I'm set.
Yeah.
Delicious. Okay, interesting. Favorite Netflix episode?
Ooh.
Or
Ever?
whatever. Series.
That's tough. Does it have to be a Netflix original or just something Netflix is showing?
See, I don't know the difference.
Well,
Does it have to be Netflix? It can be any of the other streaming channels.
I mean, whatever. She mentioned Netflix, so I just thought go with
Oh,
that.
you're
But
asking me.
you,
Okay.
you can do either.
Well, I'll go Netflix original because I feel like if it's not a Netflix original, it's just on Netflix, right? So Netflix original.
Wow, she's a Netflix snob.
The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt is hilarious.
Never heard of it.
And talk about a women empowerment show. Tina Fey writes it.
Oh, she's funny.
The redheaded chick is in it. I don't know her name, but
Couldn't tell you. That wasn't very specific.
she's Kimmy Schmidt.
Okay.
And what is another one? I know. Peaky Blinders is good.
Oh, I hated that.
You did?
Not a fan.
The accents are terrible, but it's good.
You did.
Is it
You
coming
don't like
back?
it? I think so. I think there's 2 more seasons. And there's one more, but it's escaping me.
Netflix?
Yeah. This is gonna bother me. Ask her a question. I'll look it
Okay,
up.
got it. Hobbies outside of soccer.
Me?
Yeah.
Golf.
Golf,
Golf,
skiing.
golf, ski, and when I'm in Hawaii, I bodyboard. I don't surf. I can't surf.
I think
I'm
I would
not
pay
good
to
at
see
it.
you surf. That'd be really funny.
No,
Especially
I'm
in
not good at
Hawaii
it.
when they're really
Do you know why I
good.
don't like it? Because when you have to wait, you have to sit on the board, right? And I actually like being in the water.
Right.
Whereas when with my bodyboard and my fins, I'm in the water waiting.
Wait, you
for a
have
shot.
you actually wear the fins?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I remembered it.
Go.
Yeah.
The crown.
Oh, yeah. That is the bomb.
Is that like Downton Abbey?
I have a weird obsession with the royal family.
Best part about being in America?
Oh.
The tea?
The tea. Best thing about the way of life. Like, and it's hard for Americans to understand this. Well, you've been abroad. When I go back to England, like, I just feel that the hustle and bustle of how English people function, everything's stressful. And I feel like here, way more laid back. The whole work hard, play hard, I feel like it should be in the Constitution, because I think Americans truly live by that. Huh. When you work hard, but you also play hard. And whatever play is for everyone's really different. But yeah, I just love the way of life here. And I've lived in different states now, so I can say the same in multiple states.
Utah's your favorite?
I miss the water of Seattle desperately. I lived right on the water of Seattle, and I think I was really lucky for Seattle to be the first place that I lived. And I knew that it was always going to be hard to match, but I think Utah fits me well because I love to ski and I love to play golf. So those are the two things that you can do a lot here.
That's fair.
Even in May, you can go and ski and snowbird right now.
That's nuts.
I know that
we could go skiing tomorrow in snowbird.
Yeah, not all of us. Some people in our contracts aren't allowed.
No, you're not allowed yet. Me and Steph could, though. We could
fun. Yeah, that's
you
fun.
could sit in the spa and watch us.
I do sit in the spa a lot. It's a nice place. Mm-hmm. Okay, what's the best part about working with a English person?
Best part, they do have some good chocolate that they bring in every once again. I do think I've gotten really good at understanding accents.
Yeah, theirs are tough.
They are tough, and they're so different. And in Seattle, we had 2 other accents as well, so I've gotten really good at deciphering. There are still some times where I look at her like she's crazy.
She is.
But for the most part, I've gotten really good at that. So
I feel like when the British people are around each other, we speak quicker and more broad. Whereas when broad, we have a more broad.
Broad.
Our accents are broader. Is that right?
Yeah. I don't know what you're trying to say though, so I can't say if that word is correct.
Okay. Anyways, but when I'm just talking to Americans like you two, I'll slow it down.
Yeah. Oh, you slow it down for us little people.
So you get all my words.
There was a day last year where I was driving around in my car, and my mom happened to be with me. She was in town visiting, and Laura called. Annette, I was driving, so I put it on speaker. And yep, got it, good, okay, we'll do that. Yep, sounds good. Hang up. I don't understand a word she just said. Yeah, I'm used to it. Not 2 minutes later, Scott calls. Answer the phone. All right, mate.
That was pretty good.
Thanks.
Scott is so broad. His accent
jumps into it, saying the exact same thing. It was like they didn't tell each other they were going to call me because they both said the same thing, and then hung up. My mom was just like, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
I still don't get it. Okay, speaking of, sipping tea and good old American tea, let's sit back and listen to the hard-hitting issues of Steph's favorite game, Would You Rather. Mm-hmm. Now, Laura thought this was a dirty game because they play... What do you guys play in England?
I have never.
Okay. We have a game like that too, but of course they make it more difficult. No,
okay.
This is a nice, clean, wholesome game. I have a couple questions to end us off. So, Steph, would you rather have unlimited international first-class tickets or never have to pay for food at restaurants?
Ooh.
Yeah, whoever can figure this out.
Up, or did you make it?
Oh, this is all up in the brain basket.
Good work.
Travel or food? What's more important?
I'm gonna go first class ticket.
Yeah, me too.
Same.
100%.
100%.
I'd eat like $1 menu meal for the rest of my life. First class.
Plus, you get free food in first class.
Yeah, exactly.
And free drinks.
Yeah, that is true.
Would you rather move to a new city or town every week, or never be able to leave the city or town you were born in?
Oh yeah, but it is stressful.
It is stressful. You have to pack your bags and.
Well, there didn't have to, like, you would, if this was real and you had to move every week, you would adopt the vagabond style and just live out of one bag.
Yeah, I mean, moving from England to Seattle was way less stressful than Seattle to Utah because I brought stuff with me.
Yeah.
Whereas from England to Seattle, I just took 2 suitcases and that was it.
Yeah. Yeah, moving is not fun. Yeah. But you could never leave Birmingham.
No, but it's fine. Stick with it. My mum and dad will be devastated, but no.
Yeah, that would be worse, I think.
I thought Birmingham was in Alabama. That's close to where I was born, actually.
Where were you born?
Montgomery.
Oh, okay.
Yep. The real bright ones are down there. You saw them in the news recently. Oof. So we both said moving?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the only option.
Well, thank you for joining me on my 3rd episode of Full Time. Tune in maybe in a couple weeks. I don't know. Whenever I can get one of these things done. Always up for new topics, so please tune in and give me some kind of advice on who we want to talk to next. And tune into wisports.com. But you can always Google Laura Harvey and Stephanie Lee. Remember to always use her full name now. I'm officially going to start using that forever. Changing the number of my phone now. All right. Would you rather have whatever you're thinking to appear above your head for everyone to see? This is always my fear when I was younger. I used to swat the top of my head thinking there's a thought bubble. Or have absolutely everything you do be live streamed for everyone to see. Oof, no privacy.
I know, but the bubble is no privacy either.
Oh, so
Have you met Steph?
You have bad thoughts about people. But a good filter, that's important.
I feel like the thought bubble, the stuff I think about when I'm looking at someone that is totally irrelevant about them, and they would be like, "You're thinking about that right now?" Yeah, live stream.
And also, sometimes you can't help it.
Yeah.
That's true. I think some dumb thoughts sometimes.
Yeah. And especially if you're looking at someone and they see your thought bubble. Oh, imagine that.
Yeah.
Ooh, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
One day.
No, that can't happen.
Yeah, that would be rough.
All right, so you're live streaming. No, thank you. Would you
would choose thought bubble?
Absolutely not. You know I have no filter, and the things that come out are bad enough. Yeah. So imagine my thoughts.
Live stream.
I have a good filter. People don't realize that.
You do not.
Oh, I do. If I said everything.